Welcome to Celtic State of Mind. I'm John Dykes, and once again I'm delighted to be joined by Paul Lamb for the Matchworn Celtic Jersey podcast. Welcome back, Paul.
Hi Paul, good to be back, mate.
Before we go on to 4 jerseys from your collection, we've got to speak about the image that appeared on social media just yesterday. We've got Callum McGregor, Jamesy Forrest and Big Chris Ayer sitting in the stand wearing 3 new Celtic jerseys. What's your thoughts?
Well, it was certainly exploded across social media, that one. Everybody's obviously eager to see these new designs. The home and away ones have clearly been leaked over the last few weeks and everybody's seen that, but the third or away strip, whatever, which one it's going to be, that James Forrest is wearing, is the one that's really caught everyone's attention.
When I first saw it, Paul, I thought for a moment that it was white with green pinstripes. That's what I thought when I first seen that picture of Jamesy Forrest with his Buffon sitting in the stand. You know, it thought back to last week's podcast where you and I were saying the New Balance jersey with the bottle green with the white pinstripe was excellent, but they should have done the reverse. And I thought, wow, Adidas are still listening to the podcast. But, you know, they must have worked pretty quickly to get that one turned around. Then we've seen a second image. I don't have any concerns about the image. I think what they've done is they've obviously modified it, whoever it was, have modified it, and it now looks like a lime green Love Street 86 style jersey. What's your thoughts on that? If it is lime green or mint green?
Yeah, well, if it is, as that second image shows, I think it's going to blow every other strip we've had out in the last 5-6 years right out the water. It will outsell the home strip by the barrel load. I mean, people have been desperate for 1, Adidas kits, and 2, a lime green away kit for forever now. So I think it looks like Adidas have knocked this one right out the park.
It does look as though they have. I mean, looking at all 3 of them, we go back to the 125th year quite a bit on this podcast, Paul, when we think about a vintage year for Celtic jerseys, and that certainly was a vintage year. We're looking at another vintage year here for the first introduction of Adidas jerseys. From a designer's perspective, they've got to look at guys like me. I'm 40 plus, right? So how often would I wear a Celtic jersey if I'm not playing 7-a-sides, let's say? So you're not going to walk down the street generally wearing the full kit, you know. So they are going to look at the market. They know that the biggest sales are going to be from kids' ages right up to a certain age. And they're also going to be looking at a market of, I'm looking at the black jersey there, Paul. Take the sponsor away, because I would never wear a Celtic jersey with a sponsor unless it's Axom. And that just looks like a shirt you could wear. It looks almost like a leisure shirt. You could wear it on holiday. The only thing about it is on the cuffs there's 2 stripes, and I'm just wondering, with it being Adidas, why there wouldn't be 3 stripes. I don't quite understand that, but I do like the badge. I do like what they've done with the crest.
I know the 2 striped thing was picked up by quite a few people straight away when that first was leaked, and you see it on the lime green one as well that James is wearing. It's the 2 stripes as well, which has thrown a lot of people, because obviously Adidas kits are famed for having those 3 stripes down the sleeves or across the shoulder or at some part on the kit. And
we're picking holes in something that's absolutely stunning, but it's just the only thing that has sprung to my attention. As a collection of 3 jerseys, we're good at trebles at Celtic Park, and this is a brilliant treble when it comes to Adidas entering the field of designing Celtic jerseys. That Jamesy Forrest third kit or away kit, whatever it may be, is stunning. I've seen a lot of comments on social media, people of various ages saying for the first time in a long time they're going to actually buy all 3 of these jerseys. Now, that's something that you might do for your kid, regardless of what the Celtic jerseys look like, you know, because kids like kind of bright colours, and I think New Balance honed in on that. They did have quite zany designs that kids might think are quite smart, but adults wouldn't. These 3, I think, just work right across the board, and I'm delighted that we've gone for that colour scheme for the away in the third jersey.
Yeah.
Let's go into your 4 jerseys that you've selected today, and we have 2 homes and 2 aways as we normally do. And this is one of these podcasts, Paul, that you need a bit of imagination. We would take it for granted that we're talking about jerseys that people are aware of because it's a Celtic podcast. But if not, you always post images of the jerseys as well. And people can visit your website, and we'll give your website a shout out at the end of the show, as we always do, to check these jerseys in more detail. First up today is a home jersey from 1995 to 97, first seen in a Scottish Cup final. But the one that you've introduced today for discussion is a one-off for a very specific game. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, obviously we featured this home shirt before on the podcast, but this one was prepared for Mike Galloway's benefit match in 1996.
This is a game where it was billed as Celtic versus the All-Stars, wasn't it? And the All-Stars featured people like Kenny Dalglish, and he was wearing the Celtic away jersey of that time, which is the black one with the white and black stripes down to the sponsor, and then the green bands on the sleeve. Quite a popular design now compared to at the time. And Tommy Burns played for Celtic that day in the away jersey. We saw Robbie Coltrane in the crowd, and Robbie Coltrane featured in that famous Cracker episode, didn't he, where Fitz started screaming Celtic in the face of Robert Carlyle. And because of that, and seeing him at the Mike Galloway game, I always thought he was a Celtic fan. People have told me otherwise. What's your take on that, Paul?
Yeah, it was quite a strange one. I don't really know much about his football leanings myself. It
was good to see him in the crowd. I mean, Celtic does attract a lot of celebrities, a lot of people from the world of the arts, and Robbie Coltrane, my kid loves him because he thinks he's the Gruffalo. But there he is, sitting in the Celtic stand. The away team wore the away jersey, and it's great to see people like Dalglish and Tommy Burns wearing that one. But it was a very sad occasion in many ways because Mike Galloway, he was a committed player, and we bought him for £500,000 from Hearts under Billy McNeil. When Tommy Burns came in, he did utilise him. He utilised him mainly at full-back. I think his best period for Celtic was probably under Liam Brady, Paul. Mike Galloway, can you remember the goals he was scoring from 20, 30 yards? He got a call-up for the Scotland national team.
He was certainly a fierce competitor. He was a great addition at the time. A right back of steel in the middle of the park. And as you say, he was prone to having a dig from outside the box.
He was, and I have spoken to him quite a few times in recent years. And obviously, Mike, after the football career ended, faced quite a lot of battles. Battles with addiction, alcohol addiction, mental health issues. And I'm glad to say that the last time I spoke to Mike, he was on the straight and narrow. He was doing well. And we're going to revisit that, Paul, and we're going to have Mike Galloway on the podcast just so he can bring everybody up to date with his struggles and where he is these days in relation to his life. Because, his career was cut short because he was in a car accident. He was in a coma after that. And when I spoke to him, Paul, he said, Tommy Burns went straight down to visit him. That's the mark of the man that Tommy Burns is, went straight down to visit him whilst he was in a coma. And by all accounts, the first reaction that the doctors and nurses seen from Mike Galloway was when Burns held him by the hand and was talking to him. So it shows you the power of Tommy Burns, the dearly departed. So the game itself, Celtic against the All-Stars, Celtic won 3-1. This is a hard jersey to get for a Matchworn collector, Paul, but looking at the images, it looks as though it's a replica just with the embroidery on it. Can you talk to me through that as well?
Yeah, that's one that's caught a couple of people out. It's one of the first times I'm aware of that Celtic actually used replica shirts for a one-off game where they would add the match detail. It's got the sponsor and the Umbro logo are screen printed onto the fabric the same way the rest of the design is. Yeah. Whereas a Matchworn or player issue version would have had the raised, embossed, larger sponsor on it and a fully embroidered Umbro logo. It's been quite common over the years with some of the one-off games that the detail has been added, and it's caught a couple of people. I've seen some fake shirts over the years for sale that have had emblems added to a player's shirt, where the seller hasn't actually known that the players were wearing replica shirts with the emblem that day. and have been caught out.
Well, this is something that we will mention time and time again on the podcast, Paul, is there are some unscrupulous people out there creating fake match-worn jerseys, which is quite unfortunate, but there are things to look out for, and people like yourself who know the detail of the genuine jerseys can keep people right. So it's a Celtic jersey that was fondly remembered for the Scottish Cup final 1995. We wore it for the Paul McStay testimonial, Peter Grant, and then also for the Mike Galloway game. So it's a fondly remembered jersey. Are you able to tell us the wearer of that shirt on the day? What number's on the back of it?
On the back of the shirt, it has a white cloth square embroidered or stitched to the shirt with the green suede number 14 on the back of it. From the match programme details, I'm guessing that it was Malky Mackay. Going from the centrefold of the match programme lists the starting 11 for both teams, and it also lists the substitutes, but it doesn't give you the numbers for each substitute. So just taking their names in order, it would work out that Malky was number 14.
Malky Mackay signed from Queen's Park, obviously, and eventually broke in under Tommy Burns. But an excellent jersey to add to your collection, Paul. The second jersey on today's podcast is, again, it's a home one. People have fond memories of the jersey we wore from 2001 to 2003, because it's a jersey we can link to the likes of Lubomir Moravcik. It's a Martin O'Neill era shirt, but the one again that you've got is a specific one-off because it's another testimonial. Can you talk to us through the Tom Boyd jersey that you've got?
Yeah, again, this is the 2001-2003 home shirt that we've spoken about before. It's been a big favourite, remembered for a great period under Martin O'Neill. You know, it was some fantastic games played in that era, and this one bears embroidery below the badge for Tom Boyd's testimonial.
It's a game I remember well, actually, because, you know, there was a few things that spring to mind. It's strange how certain things stay in your memory. I remember Andy Gorham playing for Manchester United that night. You know, he came on as a sub for Manchester United in the Tom Boyd testimonial. You know, it was a star-studded Man United team, wasn't it? You've got people like David Beckham playing that night, Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and you know, it was a full house, which is quite right for someone like Tom Boyd. Tom Boyd, for me, he was a shining light during the early period of the 90s. And it was great that he was able to then enjoy the success later on, because he was a player who had been at the Celtic Boys Club, Paul. You know, in order to get first team experience, he chose Motherwell over, signing for Celtic. He went and made a name for himself. There was a few rumours around about the time that he was at Motherwell. Tom Boyd speaks about them himself, that, you know, Celtic might have been interested in signing him. But he ended up going to Chelsea. It was quite a big fee at the time, 750 grand. He went to Chelsea. It was the transfer fee that put Celtic off, which so often happened back in those days. When he went from Motherwell 1991 to Chelsea, he would have been an excellent signing then for Celtic. You know, we were really looking for a defender, even then, to replace Paul Elliott. You know, Paul Elliott had left in the pre-season after Big Billy left, and Tom Boyd went to Chelsea, and eventually we were able to swap him for Tony Cascarino. He came to Celtic, played hundreds of games, captained us to various honours, and he's still up there as a club ambassador and a great guy. But on that particular night, Man United defeated Celtic 2-0 with goals from Silvestri and Djordjic, who scored with a few minutes left on the clock. But again, another testimonial, something we won't see much of. The jersey itself, very popular, even though at the time it split the hoops and divided opinion as well as a result of that. But if you're successful in the jersey, you think back fondly on it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. As you said, the initial launch was a big outcry with the Celtic fans because of the panels down the side that broke the hoops. Mm-hmm. But again, when you look back now, it's the images it conjures up. The games against Rangers that Larsson scored his 50th goal of the season. Lubo tearing that defence apart. Yeah. You know, just brings back some amazing memories.
And I remember there's some great pictures actually of the Man U players wearing Celtic jerseys, so a lot of them were swapped after the game. You see Beckham wearing the hoops. It quite suits him actually. And so I'm wondering, what jersey did you manage to get your hands on, Paul? There was no names on the back of these jerseys, but there were certainly squad numbers.
Yeah, this one has number 6 on the back of it. It was Alan Stubbs. And as you mentioned there, the majority, if not all of the players, actually swapped with Man United players at the end of the game, which has led this to be a very hard shirt to come across. The one from a testimonial. This one, Alan Stubbs swapped with David May at the end of the game, and a couple of years ago he let go some of the swap shirts from his career. I was lucky enough to get a hold of it then. Otherwise, I'd still be looking for one because I can't honestly recall seeing another one from the game.
It's incredible when you're doing your research. Often the European games, for example, in the 60s, the only place that you're going to find some of these jerseys is with the clubs that we played, and obviously because we swapped them at the end of the games. And it's a quality Celtic home jersey, one that divided opinion at the time, but I think people have grown to love it, Paul. On to the two away jerseys that we're going to be discussing today. Talking about dividing opinion, I think the first one from 2014-15, the Nike effort, certainly did divide opinion. Talk to us about this away jersey with the tartan detail.
Yes, there's the dark green away jersey with a yellow and almost lime green checker pattern running through it to create a kind of tartan effect. Again, it's another one. It's for me personally, it never stood out as a classic, but over time it's another one that seems to have grown on a lot of people.
When you think back, we've spoken about this before, you look at a jersey, Paul, and you instantly think of a player. And I look at this one, and when we played FC Salzburg, it was on the day of Scotland's independence referendum. It was the 18th of September 2014, and Mubarak Wakaso scored that night. I don't know if you remember the game, away from home, and we were wearing this jersey. And it was actually advertised and marketed with the tagline, "The Power of Scotland." So whether Nike were trying to buy into the Scottish independence referendum campaign, I'm not sure, but obviously the tartan was introduced, and we did wear it on the night of the independence referendum back in 2014. We've spoken about tartan before. Celtic have used it a few times over the years, Paul, and personally looking at this one, I don't think it worked as well on this one. I think if you were going to go for that, if you were going to go for the tartan in that jersey, it might have been good to go for the full body effect that Scotland used at Euro 1996. I think as long as it's kind of dark, it doesn't look as bad as the Morton strips. You remember Morton used the tartan back in the day. But yeah, it's another effort by Celtic to use the tartan detail, and on a personal level, looking back on it, I don't think it's a classic. I think it is certainly going to be one that people will love or loathe. I can see on the sleeves there, Paul, that there are Europa League patches. Can you tell us a wee bit more about the specifics of this jersey?
Yeah, well, it's obviously a European spec shirt. It's got the Europa League patch on one sleeve and the Respect patch on the other, and it's printed up on the back with a number 8 and brown on it for Scott Brown.
Has he had his haircut yet?
Don't think that's allowed in the rules at the moment, is it?
Unless he does it himself. Yeah, so Scott Brown scored that night as well, didn't he, in the game that Wakaso scored. So was it from that particular game?
I believe so. I was told that it came from that game. Whether it's actually the one he wore or it was a spare shirt for him from that night, I'm not 100% sure, but it's certainly prepared for that game. The
second away jersey we're going to look at, I'm looking at it now, it wasn't out that long ago. It was the away jersey from 2016 and 17, New Balance. I think it's aged really well. It's black and gold. Talk to us about this particular jersey.
Yeah, again, it's New Balance having a go at the black and gold away shirt. I mean, we've featured before the version from 2003-04, which is still an icon for a lot of people, just the plain black and gold accent on it. New Balance tried to do something similar here. They've got the gold pinstripe that runs from sleeve to sleeve right across the chest, and all the features on the shirt, the New Balance logo and the badge, plus the sponsor, are all in gold, and it has half a dozen gold stripes running horizontally across it, which to me kind of let it down. I think it would have been a much better shirt just to plain black all over, rather than having those stripes at the bottom of it.
I can see where you're coming from, because, if you use the gold just for the subtle details, then it's a classic. It's a classic black away kit, isn't it? But these additional details down the bottom again, it makes it look like a training top. And a lot of the designs do that, don't they? They add certain details that just make them look like training jerseys, so they're not as iconic as they might have been. I think New Balance certainly looked through the Celtic kit book when they were looking at away jerseys, Paul. We saw how well they did with the 1982 bottle green top that we spoke about last week, the jersey that was made famous in the Ajax game. And they tried to recreate the away jersey from 2003-04. But I think if you were to put the two of them side to side, the original would be a much better jersey than this remake. The 2003-04, the Black Magic jersey. But it just doesn't have the same appeal, does it?
No, as I said, the gold stripes, the pinstripes at the bottom of the shirt let it down. If they left it with just the gold accents and that gold pinstripe running across the chest from sleeve to sleeve, I think it would have been a close runner for the 03-04 one, but they let it down with that extra detail, which to me I think is unnecessary. What's
interesting, Paul, is we often talk about jerseys and we give personal opinions about what they could have done a wee bit differently to make it better. I always remember this jersey for the game that we played the day after Brendan Rodgers' Celtic side became Invincibles. And that was the game between Lubomir Moravcik's selection, which was the Lubos Legends, and Henrik Larsson's team of Henrik's Heroes. And they played that at Celtic Park. Larsson's side won 5-2, capacity Celtic Park crowd, the final game that we saw Chris Commons playing for Celtic. And one of the sides wore the black away jersey. So I remember it for that, and I know it was a different, I think it was a different sponsor on that particular day. Where did you get this? What game was it worn in?
This is against a European spec shirt. It's been prepared for the Champions League game. It has the Champions League star ball on the right sleeve and the respect patch on the left sleeve. On the back, it's gold name set, and it also features a gold Celtic FC Foundation logo below the number. It's number 2 for Kolo Touré, prepared for the away game against Man City in the Champions League that year.
It's got the one colour crest, the Dafabet sponsor on the front, and there was some detail in the neckline, a club like no other, on the replica jerseys. Did that also appear in the Matchworn jerseys, Paul?
It feels it's like a white tape that's been stitched on with the gold lettering. Yeah, stitched through it, a club like no other.
And I remember the marketing tagline for this was like no other. Previously, New Balance had launched the kits with "Live for Celtic," and that was a feature of the marketing campaign where the strip manufacturer would come out with a 3-word punchy slogan, so we had like no other for this particular season. Just going back to the original point we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, Paul, we've seen a few leaked pictures coming out on social media. We've spoken about how difficult it is in this day and age to prevent something new from being leaked, because I'm pretty sure Celtic and Adidas are unhappy that these images have filtered onto the internet and been spread by millions of people worldwide. Is that something that you think takes the sting out of the official launch, or is it something that just whets the appetite of the fans? We're all talking about it before it even happens. What's your thoughts on that?
I think, kind of like you said, it probably does whet the appetite. The fans are desperate to see these new kits, and there's always someone out there who wants to be the person who leaks it, being the first to share it with everyone, and it ends up being shared widely across all forms of social media. Lost count of how many people have sent me the image of it. Unfortunately, when it comes to these kind of things, you're always going to get someone who's going to be desperate to leak it. Try and take a sneaky photo somewhere where they shouldn't be. As much as the manufacturer and the club want to try and keep security around it tight, there's always going to be a lapse somewhere. It's impossible to keep it 100% under wraps.
It seems to be the way. I mean, we saw images of the home jersey and the black kit some weeks ago. It left us guessing as to what the third kit was going to be. If you had asked me for the one jersey I wanted it to be, I would have gone for the Love Street colourway, and that seems to be the way that it is. Even though that second image has definitely been doctored, I do think that it's just the way the sun's shining on Jamesy Forrest at that particular time. Looking forward to the launch, not quite sure how the club are going to do it, when obviously it's one of these things that are normally done, Paul, with press and invited fans going along to the stadium now to see these launches. We'll see how it happens, and I'm pretty sure the jerseys are going to fly in a big, big way. And the big difficulty for me will be, am I able to get a version of these jerseys into the new book? It's probably a wee bit too tight for that to be the case, but watch this space, Paul. Now, once again, it's been enjoyable to pick your brains on 4 of the jerseys from your Celtic collection. If anyone listening wants to look at your jerseys and find out more, where do we find you online?
Yeah, once again, any of these shirts and all the other ones in the collection can be viewed at www.mycelticshirts.co.uk.
All that's left for me to say, Paul, is once again thank you for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
No problem, Paul. Pleasure as always.